Hey, Alpha fam, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Today on Alpha Commission, of course, we're going to go over the generally weak response that we got in the crypto market to the little bit of a kind of pity bounce that the traditional markets were having. And you can see just by the red across the board that money is pretty scared of this market. But if we do take a look at stocks, you can see a bit of a different picture. There is just a speckled green all over the place. And we'll come back to this because I do believe something is going on in the stock market which is worthy of discussion. And so stay tuned for that. But let's go ahead and just take a look at what I was saying yesterday for some transparency and some truth in advertising here. 9 is pointed upward. We have been accepted by the 20 simple moving average as well. And so we have both the 9 EMA and the 20 simple moving average while we're trying to push through the 20 EMA, which does suggest we do have a fairly decent shot at getting up to 17,000 at least. Okay, so 17,000 could be an interesting area, and if we are able to put in, several candles up there, 4-hour candles, or close the day above that area, that would meet the threshold that I would need to see us moving up into this $17,300 area. Okay, so there you have it. We were pretty much able to, quote unquote, guarantee a move to approximately 17,000, but we really would have to put in a couple 4-hour candles above those critical areas that I had pointed out on the chart yesterday, above those green areas, just below 17,000, to really secure that position and have the chance to bounce to a 17,300. But we also had something working against us. If we go over to the volatility chart, I do believe I was discussing the daily volatility, and let's see if I can just check that out. Let's look at the daily. The daily is looking much better. It does suggest that we are expanding ever since the 12th. But unfortunately, we were expanding to the downside since the 12th. So the daily does suggest that there's going to be a continuation of a push to the downside. And if we do look at our EMAs, you can. Okay, guys, so there you have it. So based upon the EMA structure, which I showed you first, of course, in that clip, we did it in the just after that clip. But for the EMA structure, it was suggesting that we could get up to 17,000, and then what I was showing was that the volatility on the daily was actually pushing us down. So the fact that the daily volatility had not closed off yet suggested that we could be facing some headwinds into this push. Now let's just take a look at what actually happened on the chart. In that video we were down here around 16,750-ish, somewhere around here in this bull flag pattern that you can kind of see. It's kind of just kind of janky bull flag pattern there. We were just somewhere here in the middle of it, and lo and behold, what did we do? We got right up to that 17,000 area where I did suggest, it was a pretty reliable move that we could have had for that just pump, and we did get, just a decent move out of that, depending on if you were in alts or if you were on leverage or whatnot. And then we even got a nice wick all the way up to 17,000. Approximately 100, depends upon which exchange you're in. But here on Coinbase, it was just shy of 17,100. We did not get up to that 17,200, 17,300 area that we needed to secure in order to work our way back up to 18,000. That would have been a critical pivot point for yesterday's 2-day chart and 1-day chart. But unfortunately, we closed the day without securing that area, and so the powers that be, are just continuing to keep us suppressed. And again, guys, I mentioned that volatility on the daily. Okay, in the clip that I showed you, the second clip, I showed you that the volatility was expanding us to the downside. It was expanding in volatility while pushing price action to the downside. And so that's what you see just kind of giving us this rejection as the daily just pulled back because of that volatility expansion, which was not complete yet. It didn't want to give it up yet. And so we are going to have to just continue to monitor that daily volatility. It still hasn't closed yet. And so maybe tomorrow's update will have something fresh. In the meantime, we haven't broken any structure off of this bull flag that we've been kind of building here, and it does have a measured move that could take us up to that $17,300 area, which would be the center of the chart more or less, to be able to perhaps flip this area and work our way up, where we do have some critical levels over here for the next 2-day pivot. If we are able to secure the middle of this chart and then get above that $18,100 area within the next 2 days, then we do have a shot of just going on a bit of a run, perhaps tagging the top of this wedge, or perhaps even breaking out. Let me go over to the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart. Not sure why I'm on the 45-minute chart. But you can see, of course, that we do have quite a bit of work to be done, as we are just kind of, in the same zone that we were in yesterday after being knocked down by that volatility. And again, I don't know what's going on with TradingView, but just every night in the mornings and then the afternoon, it works perfectly fine. But in the night, just for some reason, it just gets frozen. But let's go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour chart, and you can get a more clear picture with the 4-hour, as these numbers just kind of average better. Where if we do secure above the center of this this kind of price action over here, then we have a good shot of getting up in this area, and perhaps even taking out that 2-day pivot, which would be the next big boss. But until then, I'm just going to say that we're barely even neutral, so long as we're below 17,140. That daily volatility is just going to continue to suppress us and potentially continue to drop us down until it pinches off. So we have to wait for that. But again, we do have support at the bottom of this chart. We have a fresh 2-day kind of critical support here around 15,222 based upon momentum, and the 5-day has a pretty neutral territory around 15,822. It doesn't get critical until 13,465. That's not a big relief to people. That would be quite a scary drop, and it would also break out of our wedge formation to the downside. So we really do have to hope that the 2-day catches us if we do end up breaking down. The 5-day closes tomorrow, so we'll have some fresh numbers on that to see if any of this momentum is pulling up or relaxing a bit. But the 2-day at least is saying, well, we've got support in this $15,000 area, and even if the 5-day has to be refreshed, most likely, this is just kind of common sense. You can see where we bounced before. So yeah, probably we're going to have some support in those areas no matter what. But yeah, if we want to look at the 5-day pivot, basically, as long as we close above 16,200 tomorrow afternoon, I can't be too bearish, okay? Because the 5-day, which is a pretty big time frame, is going to be biased in its next volatility push to the upside, so long as we hang out above 16,200. Now, if we lose 16,200, well, all bets are off, and we start kind of wrecking things under 15,800, and then we just pray that the 2-day catches us. But above 16,200, there's a chance, even if we do have a heavy pullback because of some shenanigans on the daily volatility, which you can see this is pretty whipsaw action here, right? Down up, down, right? Like this thing is just trying to break our necks with these, quick patterns. And we are getting a little bit of a bounce off of my momentum pools here. So I did separate the daily momentum pool and the 2-day momentum pool and the 5-day momentum pool because, of course, the 5-day momentum pool is expiring tomorrow. So I don't want to link it too tightly to the 2-day. What this essentially means is that we do need to get above this critical area of 16,900 for us to retain that just really strong bullish momentum on the daily. And you see, we actually started this new day underneath there. And that's what I was talking about in the video clip that I showed in the truth in advertising section. That, yeah, we could pump up to 17,000, even 17,000, that 100, 200, 300 area. But unless we put solid 4-hour candles up here in kind of a bullish way, then most likely we were going to not be able to hold onto that support, and that daily volatility would just drag us back down. That's what happened. That's why you see us just losing this area. But the day is young. You can see this is actually timed out for the actual closures of this. So we have a couple 4-hour candles. This one's only halfway complete. We do have a chance to work our way back above this kind of momentum threshold of 16,845 for the day. If we're above 16,845 for the day, then on the day I'm going to be pretty just neutral about where we are overall. We will capture some of that bullish momentum around 16,876, and I would say that we're pretty safe if we have any 4-hour candles above 16,900. Now that safe level is going to be the same for the 2-day, so that level really is important, 16,900. We have to get 4-hour candles above that area within the next 2 days. However, if we are just losing the daily, and this is just going to be kind of some daily shenanigans while that daily volatility plays out, then we could go for a swim, kind of just drowning underneath our momentum pool here. And we don't really break anything unless we lose the 5-day area, which you can see we got a nice bounce off of the top of it. Now, the 5-day shouldn't be as scary as, the red color might imply. It is actually quite, it is our friend right now. I have told you guys many times that as when the higher time frame momentum pools are underneath the daily momentum pool, that's a good sign. That's what you want. You don't want your higher time frame pools above you. It's like having, an aquarium, on top of your head. You just have to, you have higher to swim. You have more to swim up to get a breath of fresh air. Because, of course, you're going to go forward in time, and so those higher time frames, you don't want their momentum pools above you. It's going to be more easy to drown at the bottom of all of those pools. But if they're below you, then it's almost like you have a little bit of extra lift. You have the wind at your back there. So yes, yesterday's daily volatility push is still working against us, as I said in the previous video. Yes, we were able to get 17,000, but we're getting kind of a check back. The 5-day is being our friend here. It's aligned with the new daily, and so we are getting a little bit of a bounce. We won't lose that 5-day unless we also break the daily pivot around 16,632. So the daily and the 5-day are quite aligned right now, and they are just working some magic just to give us this little zone. Break this zone, and the next couple 5 days might end up being pretty bad. But hold this zone, and hey, the 5-day is almost as good as the weekly, so it does imply some potentially good things to push us up. We will be monitoring that and also see where the next 5-day momentum pool comes in as the new 5-day session begins tomorrow night. The 2-day, on the other hand, it just gives us a little bit of flexibility in this range. It does suggest that the daily can kind of stretch this out a bit. No matter what happens with the 5-day or the next daily, the 2-day still has some support in this area. So you can see we haven't violated anything critical. This is bearish for the day. We're starting the day in kind of a bearish orientation, but we have the 2-day just saying, hey, you're just neutral. You're just swimming within my momentum pool, right? And then you have the 5-day saying, no, you're just sitting by the side of the pool. You're catching some vitamin D. You got your sunglasses on. You're not even wet yet, okay? You haven't even stuck your toe in the pool of the 5-day. You're still looking quite good. And so I think that just judging by the 5-day, I would still suggest that there is the possibility that this bull flag here could end up playing out to the upside. But we just are going to have to monitor that. There's no particularly obvious play for me except at that support here, which if we end up working our way down here and we start getting some bullish candles, right now we're trending to the downside on these 4 hours, but if we get a couple bullish looking candles in this kind of 5-day zone, which if you want to know those numbers, it's basically between 16,758. We want to be above that, obviously. And then the bottom line is 16,632. We don't want to break that, okay? We'll also break our daily pivot. And the thing about the daily pivot is that if our volatility does end up pinching shut, right? That kind of volatility play that is just pushing us to the downside, if that session ends and then we open up a new volatility play on the daily, as long as we're holding above that daily pivot, it's going to be biased to the upside, right? So that's what I'm saying. The 5-day and the daily are aligned right now. And so, again, guys, the critical level that I'm looking at is 16,632. All of these other ones are just kind of like giving us guidance as how price action will go. You can kind of see, like, we basically made this really skinny candle right on this line. We basically pumped off of that line temporarily before dropping down. You can see this candle just moved in between this line, and this candle, look, you can see its wick all the way went down to this line. So like these lines are just kind of guides as the price action moves along these different time frames. But again, just to make it simple for you guys, as long as we're above 16,632, I am going to be neutral. I am going to be leaning bullish as long as we're above 16,758. And I will be pretty bullish and think that we're going to have some continuation as long as we're over 16,900, because that's where the 2-day and the daily align. And, one thing that we have to consider is that the 2-day pivot is actually way up here at 18,100 approximately. So the 2-day is kind of saying, I don't really want you guys to continue. Probably going to pull you back down at some point, okay? So we have to also watch out for this 2-day, not just the 5-day. And the 5-day, of course, is offering that floor around 16,000, 15,800, and then a critical level around 13,500, where the 5-day says, maybe I'll catch you down there, right? So if we do lose these, this daily pivot and this 5-day pivot, we just have to monitor how we're going to fall. But that's for another episode. I think I'm going to cut it short there. That should be enough information to help you understand. We had a nice pump here, guys, okay? Like by Bitcoin standard, what is this? Basically 5%. That's huge on Bitcoin, okay? Bitcoin is a very large cap asset. So, if it pumps 5%, that takes a lot of money to move at 5%. So you would expect some profit taking. You would expect some type of a movement in the chart to just kind of do a check back. And then after this kind of retrace, finding some type of support and then perhaps going from there. If we do just pull a fib, because that does look like that's over, you can see we're bouncing right off of the 382 right there, and that is a bullish place to bounce off of. You can see the daily pivot. We have the kind of golden zone right underneath that. So again, if we hold above that daily pivot, maybe we can wick down a little bit. But in order to really capture that kind of golden zone, we wouldn't want to violate that on a fib basis either, just to have kind of a bullish orientation. And again, we're bouncing right now off of that kind of bullish fib level. So everything looks good. I'm not going to change my assessment in terms of this chart looking bullish for the time being. And of course, we're doing a retrace. We hit our target, right? So we're just killing it, Alpha Fam. Good job. It is the holiday season. Everyone's trying to relax and stuff. I'm trying to be a little bit more efficient in these charts in making these videos, and so my thoughts aren't as well organized. Sorry about that, but it is the holiday season, right? And so, guys, yeah, I really am going to wrap it up there. Everything looks fine. Just be mindful of the areas that I was mentioning. As your alpha for the day, stay safe and happy trading.